Have you ever wondered why some teams crush every goal, inspire the world, and leave others wondering how they do it, while others, equally talented, crumble under pressure? What if I told you the difference isn't skill, strategy, or even luck? It's something far more human, far more primal, something invisible yet undeniable that binds the highest performing teams together and leaves mediocrity behind. Imagine standing in a room where every single person feels safe, seen, and valued, not just as workers, but as human beings. Imagine that safety translating into courage, innovation, and results that defy logic. That's not a dream. That's reality for the teams who understand what most people never do. Because here's the hard truth: no amount of talent, no amount of intelligence, no amount of hard work alone can create a team that thrives under pressure. High-performing teams don't just focus on outcomes. They focus on the environment, the culture of trust, empathy, and connection. And that, my friends, is where most organizations fail. They chase metrics, ignore emotions, and wonder why their so-called dream team underperforms. The top teams have cracked a secret so simple, yet so powerful, that once you see it, you cannot unsee it. They prioritize human connection above everything else. Safety comes first, relationships come first. Trust comes first. This isn't theory, it's science, it's biology. When people feel safe, their brains stop firing in survival mode. Stress levels drop, collaboration skyrockets, ideas flow. People take risks they would never dare take alone. The difference between a mediocre team and a world-class team is measured not in hours worked, but in the psychological safety created within the team. And here's the kicker: it doesn't take massive budgets or fancy perks. It takes intentional leadership, humility, and the courage to put people before processes. Throughout this journey, you'll hear stories of teams that turned adversity into triumph, of leaders who transformed fear into trust, and of individuals who found strength in belonging. You'll see patterns that reveal the invisible mechanics of elite performance. Patterns that you can adopt in your own team, workplace, or life immediately. Because what sets the world's highest performing teams apart is not an elusive secret. It's a series of deliberate choices repeated every single day that create an environment where humans can truly thrive. So stay with me, because in the next moments we will peel back the curtain, uncover the unseen forces that drive exceptional teams, and show you how to implement them in a way that will change everything you thought you knew about teamwork, leadership, and human potential. Let's start with a truth that most people overlook. The world's highest performing teams don't succeed because they have the smartest people or the best strategies. They succeed because they feel safe enough to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is courage in action. It's the willingness to admit mistakes, ask questions, and say, "I don't know," without fear of judgment. And when a team practices this daily, magic happens. People start to share ideas they would have hidden. They take risks others wouldn't dare. They innovate not because they're forced to, because they feel valued. Imagine a team meeting where someone says, "That idea might fail, but here's a possibility." And instead of ridicule, they receive curiosity, support, and collaboration. That moment is the spark that separates a team that stagnates from a team that soars. Because when people feel safe, they become fully present. They stop holding back. They stop playing politics. They stop worrying about blame. Their energy goes entirely into the work, into solutions, into excellence. And make no mistake, this safety doesn't happen by accident. Leaders create it intentionally, not with memos or policies, but through actions that show respect, empathy, and commitment to their people. High-performing teams also share a critical understanding they exist for something bigger than themselves. They understand the why behind what they do. When the mission is clear and the people feel connected to it, engagement is not optional, it's inevitable. Every decision aligns with purpose. Every disagreement becomes a search for the best outcome, not a battle for ego. And here's the secret that few leaders grasp. A shared purpose combined with psychological safety doesn't just increase productivity. It builds loyalty, resilience, and grit. Teams can withstand chaos, uncertainty, and pressure because they trust each other to show up fully. Throughout history, some of the most extraordinary teams, from elite military units to groundbreaking startups, have demonstrated this again and again. They thrive not because they eliminate fear, but because they face it together. They embrace discomfort not alone, but as a collective. They turn challenges into opportunities. And the patterns are always the same: trust, vulnerability, purpose, and relentless support. In the next section, we will explore the invisible glue that binds these teams, the subtle behaviors that distinguish a good team from an elite one, and how you can cultivate them immediately in your environment. These are not abstract ideas. They are actionable, repeatable strategies that can transform your team into one that performs at levels you once thought impossible. Let's talk about the invisible glue that binds the world's highest performing teams. The subtle, often overlooked behaviors that determine whether a group of people simply works together or thrives together. This glue is not in memos, not in processes, not in fancy tools. It's in human behavior. It's in the small, daily actions that communicate one powerful message: you belong, you are valued, your contribution matters. And when these behaviors are consistent, they build something extraordinary: trust that cannot be faked or bought. Consider the simple act of listening. Not hearing words, but truly listening, leaning in, asking questions, reflecting back understanding, and validating feelings. This one behavior alone can change the trajectory of a team. When people feel listened to, they open up. They share their ideas, their doubts, their mistakes. They feel safe enough to challenge the status quo without fear of ridicule. And when every team member does this consistently, a culture of safety emerges organically. It's invisible, yet it drives performance more than any quarterly goal ever could. But listening is just the beginning. High-performing teams actively practice empathy. They understand that each person comes with a unique set of experiences, pressures, and fears. They seek to understand before being understood. This creates a feedback loop of respect and care, where people don't just tolerate each other. They support, protect, and elevate one another. And this is where ordinary teams fail. They assume skill and knowledge are enough. They ignore emotion. They forget that humans are not machines. Elite teams know that emotion drives behavior. They harness it consciously. Another element of this glue is accountability, but not the kind that punishes, the kind that inspires ownership. In elite teams, holding each other accountable is done with care and clarity, not fear. Everyone knows their responsibilities, and everyone knows that others will step in with support when challenges arise. This combination of trust, empathy, and mutual accountability creates a resilience that cannot be broken by deadlines, pressure, or setbacks. And here's the beautiful paradox: the more teams focus on human connection, the higher their results. They don't chase performance first, they chase belonging, purpose, and trust. And performance follows automatically. It's the invisible glue, the hidden foundation, that allows extraordinary work to emerge effortlessly. In the next section, we'll uncover how these teams handle conflict, not by avoiding it, but by transforming it into fuel for growth, and why this one skill alone separates champions from the rest: conflict. Just the word alone can make most teams shrink, retreat, and avoid confrontation at all costs. But the world's highest performing teams understand a shocking truth: conflict is not the enemy. It is the gateway to growth, innovation, and deeper trust. These teams don't avoid disagreement. They don't let passive tension fester in silence. Instead, they engage with it intentionally, with courage, empathy, and an unshakable commitment to the mission. Imagine a meeting where two strong personalities clash on strategy. In a mediocre team, this moment becomes toxic, blame spreads, resentment builds, and innovation dies quietly in the corner. In an elite team, that same disagreement becomes a catalyst. The team listens actively, asks questions, seeks to understand before responding, and uses the tension as a springboard for creativity. The disagreement is not personal, it is purposeful. Ideas are challenged, assumptions tested, and stronger solutions emerge. Every conflict becomes an opportunity to strengthen bonds and elevate performance. The ability to handle conflict like this comes from a foundation of trust. Without trust, disagreements feel like threats. With trust, they feel like collaboration. Team members know that speaking up won't result in ridicule or punishment, and that differing opinions are not a sign of disloyalty, but a contribution to the team's success. The fearless honesty that emerges is one of the defining characteristics of top-performing teams. People are not only willing to share uncomfortable truths, they are expected to, and leaders model this behavior first, creating an environment where confrontation is productive rather than destructive. Elite teams also understand the emotional dimension of conflict. They recognize stress, fear, and ego can distort conversations. They intentionally pause, reflect, and regulate emotions before responding. They separate ideas from identity, so criticism is directed at improving outcomes, not attacking a person. This emotional intelligence amplifies every interaction, creating a culture where disagreement fuels clarity instead of chaos. And here's the remarkable part: teams that master conflict don't just survive challenges, they thrive in them. They turn high-pressure situations into opportunities for innovation, learning, and cohesion. They understand that the more difficult the conversation, the greater the potential for trust, growth, and resilience. In the next section, we will explore the invisible engine behind consistent performance, shared accountability and responsibility, and why elite teams never let anyone operate in isolation. High-performing teams never leave success or failure to chance. They understand a simple yet profound truth: accountability is not punishment, and it is not a burden. It is a shared responsibility that fuels excellence. Every member knows that their contribution matters, and every member understands that their actions ripple across the team. When accountability is embraced collectively, it becomes a source of empowerment, not fear. Imagine a project with tight deadlines and high stakes. In an average team, missed tasks create tension, frustration, and finger-pointing. But in elite teams, missed tasks trigger immediate support, constructive feedback, and problem-solving. The goal is not to assign blame, it is to ensure the team succeeds together. Each member holds themselves accountable, but they also hold each other accountable in a way that strengthens trust. No one hides mistakes. No one shirks responsibility. Everyone steps up because they know their teammates are counting on them, and because they trust that the team will step up for them too. Shared accountability works because it is rooted in clarity. Elite teams define expectations, roles, and responsibilities with precision. Ambiguity is eliminated. People know not only what is expected of them, but also how their work connects to the larger mission. This clarity creates focus, reduces friction, and builds confidence. Each person can act decisively because they understand their impact on the collective. And when the team succeeds, the celebration is collective. When it struggles, the solution is collective. There is no room for isolation or ego-driven work. Another powerful element of accountability is feedback. Elite teams are feedback machines. They don't wait for annual reviews or formal evaluations. Feedback is constant, honest, and compassionate. They understand that feedback is a gift, a mechanism to course correct quickly, strengthen skills, and reinforce behaviors that drive results. When everyone participates, feedback becomes a natural part of culture, not a source of fear or resentment. The result of shared accountability is extraordinary. Teams move faster, respond to challenges with agility, and consistently deliver results that defy expectations. People feel more engaged, more responsible, and more connected to purpose. They understand that they are part of something bigger than themselves, and that sense of ownership drives performance, loyalty, and resilience. In the next section, we will uncover the role of emotional intelligence in elite teams, the subtle skill that allows high-performing teams to navigate stress, pressure, and human dynamics with unmatched precision. Elite teams understand a truth that most organizations overlook: talent alone is not enough. Intelligence alone does not make a team extraordinary. What separates the world's highest-performing teams is emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions in yourself and others. Emotional intelligence is the silent engine that drives trust, resilience, and collaboration. Without it, even the most skilled team will falter under pressure. Think about the daily dynamics of a team. Stress rises, deadlines loom, egos clash, and tensions flare. Ordinary teams collapse under this pressure because they respond impulsively, defensively, or emotionally. High-performing teams, however, have members who are self-aware. They notice when frustration is building, when fear is creeping in, or when someone is struggling. They pause, they reflect, and they respond with intention rather than reaction. This subtle mastery transforms potential conflicts into opportunities for growth, learning, and alignment. But emotional intelligence doesn't stop with self-awareness. It extends to empathy, the ability to see the world through another person's eyes. Elite team members anticipate challenges others may face, celebrate victories, and provide support before it is requested. They understand that every interaction, no matter how small, can either strengthen or weaken trust. And because they consistently choose connection over ego, teams operate with a cohesion that looks effortless to outsiders, but is built on deliberate practice and care. High-performing teams also leverage emotional intelligence to manage energy, not just tasks. They know when to push, when to step back, and when to recalibrate. They read the room, sensing when morale is dropping or focus is slipping, and they take immediate steps to reset. This awareness transforms pressure into performance, stress into motivation, and challenges into breakthroughs. The ultimate power of emotional intelligence is that it amplifies every other element of elite performance. Teams with high EQ handle conflict productively, maintain accountability, strengthen trust, and sustain psychological safety. They don't just respond to challenges, they anticipate, adapt, and thrive. And in the most intense situations, emotional intelligence becomes the invisible difference between teams that succeed momentarily and teams that dominate consistently over time. In the next section, we will explore how elite teams harness shared purpose and mission to unify their efforts, creating a force so strong that external pressures cannot fracture them. High-performing teams don't just show up for a paycheck. They show up for something far bigger than themselves. They understand that shared purpose is the invisible magnet that aligns actions, fuels motivation, and turns ordinary work into extraordinary results. Purpose is not a slogan on a wall. It's not a mission statement buried in a slide deck. Purpose is a deeply felt why that every member owns, believes in, and acts upon relentlessly. Imagine a team facing a daunting challenge, a project that seems almost impossible. In a team without purpose, panic spreads, blame multiplies, and momentum stalls. In a high-performing team, purpose becomes the North Star. Decisions are guided by this shared mission. Energy is focused. Fear is minimized. Every member knows that their effort matters, not just to the project, but to the collective vision. Purpose creates alignment so powerful that obstacles are no longer deterrents. They become opportunities to innovate, adapt, and excel. Shared purpose also creates extraordinary cohesion. When every member understands the why behind what they do, disagreements transform from conflict into exploration. Team members debate ideas, challenge assumptions, and refine strategies, all while remaining united by the overarching mission. The individual ego becomes secondary to collective success. The team becomes a single organism, moving with agility, clarity, and relentless focus. Leaders play a crucial role in cultivating purpose. They don't simply dictate the mission. They inspire it. They communicate the significance of every task, connect each person's contribution to the larger impact, and remind the team continuously why their work matters. They reinforce purpose in words, actions, and decisions, ensuring it is felt as much as it is understood. And the most remarkable outcome: teams with shared purpose are resilient beyond measure. They recover faster from setbacks, navigate uncertainty with courage, and sustain high performance even when external pressures are immense. Purpose fuels passion, endurance, and loyalty. It transforms work from a series of tasks into a mission worth dedicating themselves to every single day. In the next section, we will explore how elite teams cultivate continuous learning and growth, ensuring that their performance not only remains exceptional, but evolves to meet every new challenge. The world's highest performing teams don't settle. They don't rest on past victories or assume yesterday's strategies will guarantee tomorrow's success. What sets them apart is a relentless commitment to learning, adapting, and evolving. Continuous growth is not optional, it is essential. These teams understand that stagnation is the silent killer of performance, and they cultivate a culture where curiosity, experimentation, And feedback are not just encouraged, they are expected. Imagine a team facing a market shift, a technological disruption, or an unexpected challenge. Ordinary teams react slowly, often blaming circumstances or waiting for instructions. Elite teams respond differently. They see every obstacle as a lesson, every failure as data, every criticism as an opportunity. Learning is built into their DNA. They reflect, iterate, and improve constantly, creating a cycle of performance that compounds over time. Continuous growth also thrives on psychological safety. Team members feel secure enough to take risks, admit mistakes, and propose bold ideas without fear of retribution. This safety transforms errors into insights and challenges into stepping stones. It allows teams to innovate at a pace that others can't match. When people feel safe and supported, they push boundaries, test new ideas, and experiment in ways that drive exponential results. Feedback is another pillar of learning. Elite teams don't wait for formal reviews or annual evaluations. Feedback is immediate, constructive, and delivered with empathy. It is a dialogue, not a lecture. Team members actively seek it, celebrate it, and act on it. This commitment to learning ensures that knowledge, skills, and processes improve continuously, keeping the team ahead of every curve. Finally, high-performing teams understand that growth is collective. Success is shared, lessons are shared, and challenges are shared. Mentorship, coaching, and peer-to-peer learning are embedded into daily routines. They celebrate not just outcomes, but progress, resilience, and the courage to improve. Every member is committed to raising the bar, and the team as a whole evolves faster than any individual could alone. In the next section, we will examine the role of leadership behaviors that multiply impact, showing how the actions of one person can lift an entire team to extraordinary heights. The world's highest performing teams are only as strong as the leadership that guides them, but not the kind of leadership you might imagine. It isn't about authority, titles, or control. True elite leadership is about influence, modeling, and lifting others to perform at levels they never thought possible. Leaders in these teams multiply impact by creating environments where people feel capable, trusted, and inspired to excel. Consider the subtle behaviors that distinguish extraordinary leaders. They listen more than they speak. They ask questions that provoke insight, not obedience. They celebrate effort as much as results and recognize that mistakes are learning opportunities, not failures. By modeling vulnerability, humility, and accountability, they show the team what it means to lead through integrity and purpose. These behaviors ripple outward, shaping the culture, interactions, and performance of every team member. Elite leaders also understand timing. They intervene when necessary but avoid micromanagement. They provide clarity without dictating every step. They empower individuals to make decisions, experiment, and take risks. This balance, direction paired with autonomy, ignites motivation, engagement, and ownership. Team members know that their contributions matter and that their ideas are valued. They step up not because they are forced to, but because they want to. Another hallmark of high-impact leadership is prioritizing human connection. Leaders invest in relationships, understanding that trust is the currency of performance. They take the time to know people, understand their strengths and struggles, and provide guidance that elevates both individuals and the collective. When teams feel seen and supported, their energy shifts from fear and doubt to courage and innovation. Finally, elite leaders align vision with action. They ensure that purpose, values, and goals are not abstract statements but lived experiences. They reinforce the why in every interaction, decision, and milestone. This alignment ensures that the team operates as a cohesive unit, capable of navigating uncertainty, pressure, and challenges with confidence. In short, leadership in the world's highest performing teams is not about doing the work. It's about creating the conditions where the team can perform at its absolute best. In the final section, we will reveal how all these elements, trust, vulnerability, purpose, accountability, learning, and leadership, come together to create teams that are unstoppable, resilient, and world-class. Now let's bring it all together. What sets the world's highest performing teams apart is not a single trait, not a clever strategy, not even extraordinary talent. It's a combination of deliberate choices repeated consistently, choices that create an environment where humans can thrive, innovate, and perform beyond expectations. Trust, vulnerability, shared purpose, accountability, emotional intelligence, learning, and leadership, these are not abstract concepts. They are actionable behaviors, daily habits, and cultural norms that separate average teams from world-class teams. Imagine a team where every member feels safe to speak up, where conflict is embraced as growth, and mistakes are treated as lessons rather than threats. Imagine every person being held accountable, not out of fear, but because they care deeply about the collective success. Imagine leaders who listen, empower, and inspire, and a mission that everyone connects with so deeply that individual egos are set aside in pursuit of something bigger. That is not an imaginary ideal. That is what elite teams look like in action. The secret is consistency. High-performing teams don't achieve greatness by accident or by one-time efforts. They cultivate these behaviors daily, intentionally, and with relentless focus. They practice trust, reinforce purpose, encourage vulnerability, and embrace learning over and over again until these principles become second nature. And when they do, performance, resilience, and innovation are no longer dependent on individual brilliance. They become the natural outcome of the system. History, business, sports, and science all provide examples of this principle in action. Teams that embrace these behaviors outperform competitors, survive adversity, and leave lasting legacies. And the most remarkable part, anyone, anywhere can apply these lessons. No matter the industry, the size of the team, or the obstacles in front of you. These principles work when practiced with discipline and intention. So here's the final insight. Extraordinary teams are not born. They are built. Built through trust, courage, empathy, and purpose. Built by leaders who understand that human connection drives performance more than any strategy ever could. Built by individuals willing to show up, hold themselves accountable, and invest in others. And when all these elements align, the team becomes unstoppable, a force capable of achieving what others thought impossible. Remember, this high performance is not just about doing more, faster, or better. It's about creating the conditions where greatness emerges naturally, collectively, and sustainably. Apply these principles, and you won't just build a team. You will build a legacy.